Story to keep track of. TNA founder Jerry Jarrett visited WWE headquarters Friday afternoon to meet with Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis about a potential pro wrestler named Oleg Prudius, better known to people listening as Big Vlad, Vladimir Koslov, who has competed in Russian fist fighting. I've been friends with the McMahons going back to Vince's father, Jarrett told WWE.com in between meetings with management. So who knows? The only thing I know for sure about life and the wrestling business is that it will be different tomorrow than it is today. It is constantly a kaleidoscope that is subject to change. One telling sign of where Jerry Jarrett stands with the promotion is that Jarrett was scheduled to fly into Orlando last Sunday morning and be backstage at Bound for Glory, but never actually arrived at the show. He said he had a malfunction of his pacemaker and couldn't fly to the show. TNA CEO Frank Dickerson, who is now in his 4th month in TNA, is taking a more hands-on role after feeling out the company.
Hands-on Dickerson?
We have had enough. Come on this show, sir.
Stop. I didn't know that was cum.
Is taking a more hands-on role after feeling out the company to see where members of management stand politically. Dickerson brings a different mindset to promotion, which means he won't serve the interests of the Jarretts, but rather the promotion and probably the characters. So this, Jerry Jarrett started fishing talent to the WWE, and in the process gave an interview to WWE.com.
You're done, man. Get out. Goodbye. No more company for you.
You have to think that when he did this, he had to know that was it, right?
I think he probably saw writing on the wall and decided to make a big Hail Mary attempt to get in the good graces.
So they think this is like, oh, I got a guy who Vince might like. Look at him. He's a big, beefy, frickin' Russian dude who'll beat the shit out of people.
Hey, Vince, maybe you have a job for me. Because I think I'm not going to be at TNA any longer.
Yeah, he has been on the outs at TNA for a while, basically since Dusty lost power. Even though he was an advocate for Dusty losing power, but that was his play, and it didn't go as well as he would have wanted.
Well, if I go into the mind of Vince McMahon for a moment, I think he probably viewed it as weakness and him winning.
Yeah, and that's the meeting where he's like, "Fuck yeah, I'll take that. That makes TNA look bad."
Yeah, hey, Jerry, want to go out and do an interview with WWE.com while you're here? So I can make you look like an even bigger fucking joke? And then I'm not going to give you a job?
The strain of the relationship between the Jarretts has been a shame.
Yeah.
Just through this whole thing, with all the Vince Russo nonsense, with the Panda stuff, with the stuff in the summer about them potentially trying to leave TNA when he had to drop the title, and he didn't want to drop the title because he thought he was going to be forced out if he dropped the title. And now it looks like this is basically the last straw. We'll cover it whenever he's actually fired, I assume sometime in the November month, when they're like, yeah, you can't do that, Jerry. I'm sorry, you got to go. So we'll talk about that more in November when it is the actual end of the line. But again, this wrestling coming between families.
Yeah, well, any business really, right?
And that's don't go into business with your parents. I've watched too much Succession recently. I think it's a good, even though I hate that show, it's terrible and bad. That's a good lesson to take. Don't go into business with your parents. Jimmy Hart is done with his final appearance being at the Spike debut tapings on September 27th. There's a big energy drink of him right in the middle of the ramp.
Awesome.
But yeah, he wanted to attend Raw for the homecoming show, and they were like, listen, we'll let you do stuff like the Hall of Fame, but you fucking can't do Raw. Come on. And then he's done. Removed his on-air talent and manager of the Naturals. He does start doing some park whipping up duties later in the month again. They bring him back to do some of that, but obviously he's not an on-air character anymore. Not that he meant fucking anything to the Naturals anyway.
Yeah, I think he was actively hurting the Naturals.
They do need a manager. They have no charisma. That's their problem. But also, he's just not a good fit with them.
You know what I would do with the Naturals? I got a pitch.
Go on.
The Naturals go from their 80s Hardys era to their 90s Brood Hardys era, and you put them with James Mitchell.
And you have a stable with Abyss?
Yeah.
Could they potentially be some kind of disciples?
Of a new church.
An even newer church.
Disciples of the even newer church.
Yeah, that's a stable name right there. But yeah, that's the end of Jimmy Hart until 2010 as well.
Well, at least there's a good thing.
Until he comes back with the Nasty Boys.
Oh, no.
Which, that is a step down from the Natural.
Yeah, you know what? Fair play to the Naturals. You're better than the Nasty Boys.
At least 2, if not all 3, of Daniels, Joe, and Styles were surprised at the 5-star rating for their match at Unbreakable.
Bunch of dorks.
They were like, that? Really? While nobody would know that unless they were the three guys in the ring, the referee, or whomever was involved in keeping the time, they actually went to the finish several minutes early. They were on the way to the finish when Joe went to the floor, and he was told there was still 10 minutes left in the show. So they had to improvise at that point and go back to their finish later.
That's kind of interesting, at least.
Yeah, if you go back and watch that match, and you'll see the moment Joe goes out to the floor to get the X Division title, that's what they were meant to do. That was meant to be the finish. And then obviously they wrestle for like 10 minutes more because someone's like, hey guys, we actually have 10 minutes left in the show. You gotta keep going.
That must be so much more difficult in a three-way scenario.
Especially like the kind of three-way they constructed. Which, like, if you do like a classic 2-in-1 out formula, you can kind of like work that out. But while you're doing like these really intricate three-way sequences that have all three guys involved at all times, it's like, ugh, make it work. It's
really funny that like this is what got their guys their first 5-star.
Yeah, they're like, we had to call that last 10 minutes in the ring and we got 5 stars. Hell yeah! Clearly proof they should call it all in the ring. TNA turned down a proposal for a heel group of monsters that would have included former WWE wrestler Sean O'Hare, Luther Reigns, as well as Predator, better known to people as Sylvester Terkay.
Which monsters would they have been?
They're no Abyss.
Sean O'Hare as the Wolfman, Luther Reigns as the Mummy, Sylvester Terkay as Dracula.
It's called Predator.
No.
Could he not be the Predator?
Well, I guess, but that means Sean O'Hare's the alien.
You can't still be Wolfman? You can't have Wolfman and Predator on the same team?
No, and Luther Reigns is versus.
When AJ Styles recently had a son, his middle name given was Covell, which, not coincidentally, is the real name of Christopher Daniels, Daniel Covell. Daniel's wife, Lisa, on October 21st gave birth to a baby boy, Joshua Allen Covell. Allen is the first name of AJ Styles, so they named their kids after each other.
It's very sweet. That is also maybe one of the most Dave sentences ever written.
Yeah, there's a lot of commas. There's a lot
when
going
AJ
on.
Styles recently had a son, his middle name given was Covell, which, not coincidentally, is the real name of Christopher Daniels.
Too many commas, too many sidetracks. So that's the news.
Yay! Everyone clap for the news.
For context, I don't know what this is going to be edited down to because there's a couple breaks and pauses. We have completed the news in this recording 3 hours, 15 minutes in. The news usually goes like tops an hour 20. Usually like 40, 50 minutes. 3 hours, 15 minutes in, we have completed the news on this recording.